Hi, it's Darnell with Way Living Recipes, and today I'm going to be cooking up 2 whole chickens at the same time in the Ninja Foodi XL 2-basket air fryer. So let's get cooking those chickens right now. And so here are the 2 whole chickens. They're each about 5.5 pounds each, and I'm going to be using some extra light olive oil, a light coating of that on them. And then I'll apply my seasonings, and I do want to point out nothing in this video at all is sponsored. I'm going to be using Old Bay seasoning and some lemon pepper seasoning. And the mixture I've found does come out pretty nice, of the kick from the Old Bay with the mellow taste of the lemon pepper seasoning. So I'm going to go ahead and put some oil on these and then season them up. And now that things are all seasoned up, going to go ahead and put the birds in. This cooker has no preheat, so it's just basically toss them in and go. So I'm going to take this one and put it in here, and I'll let you see it get on down in there. So that one's in, and we'll take the other one, put it in the other side. And this XL 2-basket air fryer can hold up to a 6-pound chicken on each side. So we see we got 5.5 pound chickens in comfortably on both sides. And now I'm going to go ahead and turn it on. And I'm going to hit the match cook button because I'm going to be cooking things the exact same on both sides. So turning to roast now. I'm going to take the temperature down to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. And I'm going to try an hour and a half. Maybe it'll take longer. Well, actually I'm going to do an hour 25 minutes. And maybe it'll need longer, maybe it'll need less, I don't know. But I'm going to basically let it run for about 45 minutes, and then I'll bring you back and do a little bit of adjusting of things to continue to cook. But we'll let this start for now, and I'll bring you back in 45 minutes when there's 40 minutes left on the clock. Alright, so things have been cooking for 45 minutes. I'm going to pause right there with another 40 minutes left to go. And I usually don't like to put foil on things, but as you can see, the tops are getting pretty, well, let's see if I can get one out for you to see. But I assure you the other one looks about the same. You see the top's getting pretty well charred. I'm going to try and just put some foil over the top of the chicken and kind of press it down over it. So I got foil on one, and I hope it stays in place. I'm going to have to take the other one out, and basically I have to get it on my counter to get the foil over it real good. So now I got the other one covered in foil. I had to put it on my stove top since, you know, the basket's pretty hot. Now I'll just let the cook resume. And I guess, judging by the look of those, you might want to stop after things have been cooking, maybe just 25 minutes. You know, maybe cover it after 25 minutes, then let it go the rest of the way the last hour covered. Because things, you know, letting it go 45 minutes was definitely a little too long. So maybe 25 minutes, then cover it up. But whatever works for you. I'll bring you back when this is done. Alright, so the cook is about to end, and I'm just going to let it go through its cool down here, and then we'll check the chicken's temperature. Now it's time to get on in there. Let's see if I poke in here. We're just at we're in the 140s, so we're coming up a little short. We're in the 140s on that one, and I'm assuming this one is probably somewhere, yeah, 140s as well. So cooking for that long in both baskets, we're probably not getting a good amount of power to both. So we're going to just go on back, and we'll just keep it at 350. We'll hit the match cook, and I'm going to let it go for, let's say, another 25 minutes. I'll go for another 25. That'll be almost 2 hours for 2 chickens, but we'll see how that turns out. and I'll bring you back in just a little bit. So now things are cooked for an hour, 50 minutes, and we'll see how things are doing as far as temperature once this cool down is finished. Going in, check. We're in the 150s. Wow. We're in the 150s there. I'm thinking part of the cause could be the foil that's on top restricting the airflow. That could be a factor. So I'm just going to, live with the top being cooked over and take the foil off these things and just let them go without foil. But I don't want to really overcook my chicken also. So we'll go back to the roast again, and we'll take temp down to 350 again, and let's give it another 15 minutes. Things are uncovered, and we'll see how. Whoa, wait a second. We want to have that on. Let's restart things and get back to our roast on a match cook in 350. 15 minutes is right. So we'll let this run, and I'll bring it back. So now we've been going for 2 hours and 5 minutes, and some uncovered, some covered. We'll see what we have now once this cool down finishes. And I will mention that I didn't want to try cooking these chickens on one side and then flipping them over, because I didn't want to have to deal with trying to flip them. And so let's see what our temperature is now. We're at like 162. I mean, wow. This one's at 165, 166. That's cool. So I usually don't do the carryover thing, but in this case, I am definitely going to do the carryover thing. So I'm going to let them rest for about 5 minutes in the cooker, in the heat. And I'm going to check them again after they've sat for 5 minutes in there with no heat on them at all. So I've let things just set in the cooker for 5 minutes. What I was trying to explain earlier is just let it set in there without the cooker running, but the heat that's already in there, just kind of stay on it. So let's see the temp now for this one. Wow, it's just 160. It's just 160. So it's coming up short. And then over here, still short. Man. So we got one that we know is done, regardless what its temperature is now. We know that it did get the temp. But the one over here is not done. And I'm just thinking that doing two at the same time, for a long cook like that, you're just not getting the power output. And it's just not going to finish things up as well. Now, some of you probably saw my initial review where I did just one chicken. It did it in the hour 25 minutes on roast at 350, no problem. Same weight chicken. But this time, we're taking way longer, cooking two the whole time. It's got to be the output is not able to divide well between the two. So we're back at roast. We're going to go back to 350. And we're just going to give it 10 minutes. And I think with it doing this one alone, that power output's going to be stronger and we'll be good to go. And so I'll let that run. And while that runs, go ahead and get this one here out and just set it on the cutting board. So now the chicken in basket number 2 has been cooking for 2 hours and 15 minutes. I guess you could say 2 hours and 20 if you count the time that I left it in there for 5 minutes with it not running at all. But we'll see what the meat temperature is now, and we'll just let this cool down finish real quick. Alright, let's take a look. Now we're in the 170s or so, And you see how quickly it shoots up a lot better when you're just cooking on one side versus two sides. It's a big difference. So just going to go ahead and get this one out, set it down there. Alright, so this one from basket 1 has already had plenty of time to rest. So I'm basically going to go ahead and cut into it, and it will be the subject for the taste test. So just going to cut right into the breast meat here. I always point out that any issues with cutting are not the knife's fault, it is the cutter, or the person that's doing the cutting, that is the fault of any bad cutting skills. I'm just going to take all this here. We'll see how much I want to have for a taste test. So we'll go ahead and do a taste test. Alright, so thank God for this chicken, and let's taste. Alright, the chicken turned out moist and it tastes really good. But this cooker, just like its predecessor, the smaller one, the 8-quart version, same issue. When you cook with both sides, it takes a lot longer. If it's something that, is like maybe 10 minutes to cook, it might take a minute or two for both sides to cook. But when it's something that's going to cook for an hour or more, you might need another hour or more than the original hour to cook things. I mean, it just takes way longer cooking on both sides at the same time. So I've found that, this bigger 2 basket is really a lot like the first one. Cooking times I've found to be very similar, pretty much identical for a lot of things. I haven't found any differences really in that regard. And I also haven't found any differences when you cook with 2 baskets for a long time. Things take, a really long time. So usually, if you're going to cook stuff, use one side if you want to knock it out quick. If you use 2 sides, it's going to take a bit longer, but this is not as noticeable as I said when you're cooking things that only take like 10 minutes, 15 minutes. It's going to, be about as quick, maybe a few minutes at most longer, but when it's something that's going like hour and a half, you're going to notice it big time. So it's just the nature of this cooker, but all the same, you can cook 2 things at once. And when you're kind of, doing smaller things and kind of just doing some quick hits in and out, it's really convenient and it's really cool. And that's where this cooker really shines. But all the same, it is what it is. And so I'll just leave it there. And you'll find the recipe in the video description, link to that. Also, you can always check out my blog, superwaveovenrecipes.com. In the video description, lots of ways to help this channel, like my cookbook. Lots of recipes are cross-compatible. Also, other ways to help the channel are in the video description as well. And so with all of that said, if you did like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Share the video with a friend, leave your comments, subscribe, hit that notification icon, and good eating.